So I've got a washing on in case you can't hear in the background. It's cold outside and I thought, you know what? I'm going to go old school. I'm going to use my good old brewing bucket. And what I'm going to brew in this is a Wilko IPA. And to chuck in this, I'm going to chuck in a brew enhancer kit. I'm also going to chuck in what remains of my light spray malt, which is probably about 300 grams, which will bring up the ABV. And then I'm going to dry hop it with some Citra hops, 100 grams, but that will be after the brew, well, towards the end of the brew when it's nearly completed brewing. So today, I'm just going to brew. I've got all my equipment ready, but because it's been a while since I used the bucket, I'm going to have to give it a really good clean. I've given it a first clean already, going to give it a second, and then we're going to go through sterilization. All right, let's get into this. All right, so I've given my bucket its, well, second clean now. I'm going to move on to sterilization, but before I do that, I'm going to open this can here and put it in some boiling hot water. So let's get this open. Okay, so I've got the lid off the can. Inside we've got the yeast. Check the expiry date on it. So this one's good till March 23. Then we've got the instructions. So I'll just chuck that over there because I don't need that. Now I've got the tin. Now the tin needs to be warmed up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the tin in here and I'm going to pour a load of hot water in here. And I'm going to leave this for, well, until I'm finished sterilizing actually at the moment. Yep, it's got paper on it. Paper's going to get wet. Doesn't matter. What we want to do is get this solution all warmed up so we can pour it in. That will do. So I'm just going to leave that to the side to do its job. All right, for sterilization, I've got this from Love Brewing, so it's no rinse sterilizer. So let's put 5 grams per litre of water that you're going to put in. What I'm going to use is I'm going to use this to put all my items in. So I'm going to fill this with hot water, add the sterilizer, and then I'm going to drop all of the items that I'm using in. So I'm just going to pick up some sterilizing solution, put that in. A little bit more, normally it's about a teaspoon and a half from my previous measurements that I've used. And now I'm going to pour in some hot water. I'm going to fill this up to about 1.5 litres. There we go. So that's 1.5 litre sterilising solution. This spoon is going to be put in with the bucket in a bit. I'm just using it to stir. When I sterilise the bucket, I'll sterilise the spoon more because I've got to do the whole length of it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in everything I'm using. So this is all to do with the tap, these items. And now I've got the things to do with the bung. I've got to put that in. I will put this in, don't forget, also with the bucket. Got the tap as well. I'm going to drop in some scissors, and I've got my thermometer and hydrometer as well, which I'm going to sterilize separately in this. So this is my measuring beaker, which you may have seen in previous videos. I'm going to fill this with some sterilizer and then put my thermometer and hydrometer in there to sterilize as well. So as I said, I've just put some sterilising solution in here to sterilise these. I will turn them round so I sterilise both sides. Actually, probably not needed with thermometer. Not going to be dipping it all in. It's not going to reach that sort of temperature, 100 degrees. But yeah, I'll be turning my hydrometer partway through just to sterilise all of it. And now we're ready to, well, reboil the kettle. And I've got to sterilise the bucket. All right, so next up actually, the kettle's boiled. I need to rebuild my tap. So I'm going to take out the tap parts that I've got sterilised in here, and I am going to build them into a tap. So I'll just get them out onto a piece of paper towel. What I'm going to do now is build the tap. So the first thing is I've got to put this ring on, get it down to the bottom. Actually fiddly. I'm also going to put the tap in. So the tap goes down like this, all the way through, and that's where the beer will come through afterwards. But it's in the off position, that's my off position. And now I'm going to attach it to the bucket. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put my tap on, and I'm going to put this on the other side, and it just screws in. That is now tight. I can turn the tap if I need to, but I'll leave it on the side for the moment, and it's in the off position. So I've put some sterilizing powder solution in, and then I'm going to add in hot water now. So this is, again, 1.5 litres of hot water. In here, I'm going to chuck the spoon, and then I'm going to chuck some of the other bits and pieces. I've already had them sterilising in here, but might as well just chuck it in for a second sterilisation here. I'm now going to put the lid on, and I'm going to slowly move that solution around and get it everywhere. I'm going to fill the bung in a moment on the top, because as I say, it's been sterilised anyways, and then it will allow me to shake and get it everywhere. But at the moment, I'm just rolling it around. So I'm going to put the bung in for the moment. I'm going to put this on top, and I will put the cap in as well. And now I can shake this all about and get that solution everywhere. So lots of air to vent. Roll it round, get that everywhere. I've had this go in for a while, been moving that solution around. You can see how boiling hot it is in there. What I'm going to do also is I'm just going to take a bit of the solution, and I'm going to run it round just to make sure it's reached all the places. So I'm just going to dip this in the solution and run it round. I'm going to dip in and take a bit more and run it round the outside. Just sterilise the outside as well. You might as well use this solution to clean as much of the bucket as you can. To take a bit more and clean the top of the lid all the way round, and even along the top here. All right, so sterilisation solution all round. I'm going to empty this, and then we're going to get on to putting the beer in. So I'm just going to turn this now for the last bit on its top. So this is still hot water, and what I'm looking to do is I'm going to open this in a moment on the top half with the can opener, which I'm just going to drop into the sterilisation solution. I've had this on its top for a little bit, just as I say that I've in the hot water, the malt extract has gone down, made it softer and easier to get out of the can. I've got the kettle boiling right now with just over 1.5 litres of water. I'm going to need a bit of that hot water to finally empty out the rest of this tin. But what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to open up this tin and get into it. There we go, tin is now open. I am going to peel the paper around the edges that have been soaked down, because we do not want any of that going into our brew. I'm going to peel it down. Don't need that at all. I'm going to open up this lid, and that is our malt extract, which has been made much more liquidy than it normally is. And I'm going to pour this into our brewing bucket. You see how easily that pours out now that it's been melted, but you'll notice we can't even get all of it. And that's, as I say, what the kettle boiling for is. Don't worry about trying to get it all out, just like when we do the pinter. I'm going to put water in here to get the last bits out. All right, so we're going to fill this with hot water. I'm not going to go all the way. I'm going to fill it there for the moment. Actually, I will fill it all the way, sod it. Now beware, this tin is going to radiate the heat from the hot water, and it's going to be boiling hot. So you do not pick it up with your bare hands. We'll leave this for a few moments just to take in the heat and get out the last of our malt extract. So we are now going to take our malt extract, pick it up because it's boiling hot, and I'm going to pour it over the lid. So the lid, as I said, has been put in hot water, so it should be perfectly fine and sterilized. And we look in the tin, and there's still a bit more malt extract in there. It is runny, but there's a few bits at the bottom, so I'm just going to pour a bit more of that boiled water in to get the last bits. We want to get all of this malt extract. Got some over the towel as well. Now, this is where it's good to measure your amount. So I know this is 1.7 litres, and I need to know how much I'm putting in because this is counting towards the amount of hot water I need to add. So the amount of hot water I need to add is, I think, 3.5 litres for this. So I put half of it in right now with this. I'm going to add another half, and then that's going to be the full amount. Actually, I've got my sterilised spoon. I'm just going to get this going against some of the malt extract on the side because I want to make sure I get it all and it's in this solution, because these are our sugars that are going to turn into or be used to ferment to make our beer. And there we go, a nice empty tin. That's all of our malt extract in. The tin can be discarded, but obviously beware, it's boiling hot right now. And drop it on the counter. Perfect. While I've got the rest of the hot water going, I'm gonna get stirring. So I've got another 1.8 litres of water coming, which will bring me up to the 3.5 litres of hot water that need to add in. What I'm gonna do is just try and get all this malt extract melted. Oh, it smells lovely and malty, but very steamy, obviously, with the hot water. All right, so I've been stirring this to get that malt extract and going into the corners. The kettle has now just finished boiling, and this is now making up my 3.5 litres of hot water that needs to go in. The rest of the water will be all cold water to bring me up to the level that I need to be at. You want to aerate this solution, which is why having bubbles in it is perfectly fine. So now I'm just going to make sure this malt extract is nicely mixed in. Just checking under that tap nozzle under there, make sure nothing's getting stuck there. All right, it's also time to start chucking in some of the extras that we've got. So instead, I've got the beer kit enhancer. I'm going to take the sterilized scissors that I've got so I can cut across the top here. And I've got to make sure this doesn't clump up when I add it. So I'm going to add this in and make sure I'm stirring it at the same time nicely so it doesn't clump in. You do not want clumps building. Oh, this smells lovely. Just get rid of it all, get it mixed in nicely. That is all of our beer kit enhancer 1K that is needed to be added in here. So the difference between the beer kit enhancer and normal just light spray malt or anything like that is it has added elements to improve the body and the head of the beer. Now alongside that, I'm going to use up the rest of my spray malt. We want to get this all mixed in nicely. So this kit only calls for the 1K edition, so it could be 1K of light spray malt or 1K of the brew enhancer as I've added already. So this is actually going over slightly, but it's just because I'm using up what I've got left, and also it does add to the ABV. So this is supposed to be 4%. With this, it might put it up to 4.5. All looking good to me at the moment. Looks like it is mixed in nicely. Okay, so everything is being mixed in. What I've done is I've got the first batch of cold water I'm adding. So this is 3.5 litres of cold water. Straight in. This is still going to be boiling hot in here. That is not going to change temperature on here. Just get everything mixed in. And the idea is we need to add this to the level that we want. So some people brew short, they don't add the full amount of water, whereas other people brew to the level, but yeah, you've just got to make sure you get to the level that you want. I'm adding the last amount of water in, and I think I'm good with that because I've got a marker on the side. Ignore the numbers, they were used for something else. But that for me is a suitable level that I'm looking at the top of here. I've got the little temperature gauge as well on the side, but I'm actually going to take a thermometer reading now to see what temperature we're at, because I can't pitch the yeast until we're at a certain temperature. So this has been sterilised. I'm just going to leave it in for a few moments and see what we come out with. So unlike my brews during summertime, obviously the water's much colder this time of year, and we're at a nice 21 degrees. You won't be able to see that, but that means it's perfect for me to pitch the yeast. Normally during summer I've had to wait ages, so that's great. So I'm using the same knife now, scissors, to open this yeast packet, and I'm going to pour the yeast over the top of this nice frothy solution. Some people rehydrate them first. I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to follow what normally they give in these instructions. So don't rehydrate, just pour over the top. So yeast is pitched. I'm going to put the lid on, and I'm going to pour the remainder of the sanitizing solution that I have in to here. But first of all, I'll get the bung and everything down. So the bung is down. I'm going to pour my sterilizing solution in to fill this up. And if we just see the level it's come to, you want to get a nice amount on either side. All that remains at this stage is to take a hydrometer reading. So I'm going to take an amount out from here. That should be more than enough. Hope it doesn't overspill. And I'm going to put my hydrometer in. And we can check the starting gravity. So our starting gravity is 1050, which is a good amount. What we'll do is we'll leave this to brew for a few days, obviously, and I'll probably have a bit of footage of it bubbling, which will probably be in it by tomorrow. And then in the next video, I'll do the dry hopping and bottling. So I'll see you in the next video. Till then, take care, guys.